Cretaceous canids cut collarbones with coarse canines carefully. Greetings, goblins, ghouls, friends, and fiends, and welcome to the first episode of Parker's Revised Monster Manual.
In the timbers up in Ario, the wolves are running round. The winter was so hard and cold, froze 10 feet beneath the ground. Don't murder me, I beg of you, don't murder me. Please don't murder me.
The direwolf is a pretty common creature in a lot of fantasy, making appearances in Dungeons & Dragons, Game of Thrones, and The Grateful Dead. You know, the classics. What you might not know is that the direwolf was actually a real thing. Back in the good old days when dragonflies were as big as cats, wolves were the size of slightly larger wolves. But that's not all. You know how in fantasy, direwolves have this kind of cunning, tactical sense and almost human intelligence? Well, the real direwolf also had none of that. Yeah, they were, not smart. A smaller brain case than the average gray wolf leads scientists to believe that Canis dirus was just a chunky wolf with a below-average SAT score. But let's talk about that chonk for a sec. It's true that dire wolves were a bit bulkier than the average gray wolf, but nothing to justify a whole size up in the monster manual. The average dire wolf was about the size of the largest recorded gray wolves, so while they had a little more muscle mass to back them up, they weren't quite the size of the prolific pups we see in fiction. But Parker, you cry, size doesn't matter, it's how you use it. Fair point. So, how did the direwolf use it? Well, poorly. The only reason we have so much information on the direwolf is that so many of them saw the La Brea tar pits and thought it looked like a good place to take a dip. Direwolves are the second most frequently found fossil in the tar pits, beaten only by Smilodon fatalis, better known as the saber-toothed tiger. They did bite pretty well though, and thanks to the aforementioned excess of fossils, paleontologist Francois Thurian calculated the bite strength of the direwolf to be about 129% of the gray wolves. How do you get such an exact number? What calculations and speculations occurred to reach this conclusion? I don't know. That being said, with a little bit of math and a dog-eared copy of the monster manual, we can create a revised version of the direwolf stat block. At the end of the day, while in fantasy they're the fluff of legend, when it came to real life, the direwolf's bark was worse than its bite.